We live in a society that enjoys a better quality of life than many other societies around the world. And this society has appeared to become a little bit more angrier.
Boom! There are also sharp divisions over the results of the election, the January 6th insurrection, the border, guns.
Protesters targeted Edmonton's Royal Alexandra Hospital.
Stand your racist.
Racist? I'm not a racist.
Society has become more divided by political affiliation and misinformation than in any period in recent history. In this video, I will be highlighting the main causes of political division and how this division comes to affect our society. So let's go over these causes.
What do you think is the one website on the internet where you can't have fun whatsoever? Can you go 24 hours without absolutely throwing a giant fit about something?
No one likes Twitter. Twitter is trash. We all know this. It's not a hot take.
Yes, that site is in fact Twitter.
Quote, if Republicans are mad that they can't date me, they can just say that instead of projecting their sexual frustrations onto my boyfriend's feet, you creepy weirdo.
It's not news that social media is one of the most unhinged places for political discourse. In fact, it's pretty much designed that way. Twitter, for example, has a 280 character limit per tweet. And because of this short character limit, people are going to use the most emotionally charged words in order to express an idea that they want to share. And that's solely because they want to get more attention and interactions on their tweet. And it has been proven that people who do use more loaded words tend to get more interactions on their tweet. And this, of course, promotes the usage of more provocative language. This ties into my next point. On virtually every social media platform today, there is something called an algorithm, which basically monitors what you browse on that social media platform. As a result, most of the content that's going to be shown to you is in relation to the stuff that you have browsed previously. For a business model, this is an extremely smart method. It keeps users hooked onto the app so that the company has a bigger opportunity to unleash more ads on you, and hence they gain revenue. But what kind of impact does this have on the user? Well, they end up having a greater chance to fall into a rabbit hole or an echo chamber, where much of the content that they're recommended align with the things that they have viewed in the past, and in this case, their political views. For example, a user may end up getting hooked on viewing conservative-leaning content. The algorithm will then suggest and recommend the user with more conservative-leaning content, while displaying less of, say, liberal-leaning content. Same thing applies for vice versa. This then leads the user down a rabbit hole, where they only become exposed to one perspective that drowns out any others. This makes people more closed-minded and misunderstanding of different sides. And all of this stems from social media corporate greed. Yeah, they don't really care about your mental well-being. Corporate greed also extends to news media organizations, where they actually profit from political division. As a result, you'll see many news media organizations only promoting one perspective and one side to the story, and occasionally, you get a glimpse of their hypocrisy.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
And this is all being perpetrated by corporations within Western countries. But what about corporations outside of Western countries? Foreign interference within our political atmosphere is more rampant than you may believe. I am referring to TikTok. Did you know that the TikTok that you view is different from the TikTok that is present in China? Hence, China may be indirectly influencing our political atmosphere by purposely perpetrating a divisive algorithm within the app. What differentiates TikTok from social media apps such as Twitter and Facebook are mainly two things. One, the algorithm is more stronger and therefore more divisive, and two, TikTok panders towards people within my age group, When young people are becoming more conditioned to absorb all this instant gratification stimuli, not only does this impact our patience, but also our critical thinking ability and our reasoning skills. In turn, this makes young people more susceptible to political insanity, and we should be concerned because this app originates from a country that is against the values and interests of our free society.
TikTok was the most downloaded app of 2019. More teenagers are on TikTok now than use Facebook. But it is owned by a Chinese company that includes Chinese Communist Party members in leadership, and TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And this relates to cause number 4. Over time, blue-collar jobs have been at a decline. The decline mostly stemming from new technologies, such as computers and machines. With new innovations that are more cheaper and efficient than manpower, they have been rapidly replacing the blue-collar workforce. In fact, it is not just machines that are causing the downturn in manufacturing jobs. It is also that many manufacturing jobs in the West have been shipped to other countries. Why? Because in a business perspective, it is cheaper to hire labor in foreign countries than to hire workers at home. I mean, if you're legally allowed to basically treat these foreign workers as slaves and give them dirt poor wages, it's much less money spent on labor by the corporations. And whatever the case may be, the fact is that blue-collar workers in the West have felt that their voices are not being heard. In fact, if you're wondering why someone like Donald Trump got elected to president of the United States, it is important to look at these blue-collar workers. States such as Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio are all states with a sizable population of blue-collar workers that have lost their jobs. And Trump utilized this by talking to them directly.
I'm going to bring back millions of jobs.
And to a blue-collar worker, that is their top priority. But jobs are not the only factor that led a politician such as Donald Trump to become elected president of the United States. This leads me to my final point. Within the last decade of Western society, something called the cultural divide has been occurring. To sum it up in simple terms, the cultural divide has been a division that has been occurring between different groups of people that have different values. And one prominent example, the urban-rural divide. As many of you may already know, the social environments in rural and urban areas are different from each other. But the political differences are also very strong. People that live in urban areas tend to be more socially progressive than those who live in rural areas, who tend to be more socially conservative. This is evident in virtually every single election around the world, where the more conservative candidate tends to win the rural area, while more liberal candidates tend to win more urban areas. For example, the US 2020 presidential election, the 2021 Canadian federal election, and so on. And in recent years, a cultural shift has been happening. And while this may not seem like an issue, many people have been turned off by this cultural shift. In fact, they feel as if their values have not been respected. And all that comes to conclude the 5 main causes of political division. But what if we're politically divided? Why does it matter? Well, here's why it matters. Mental health. When you're constantly in a mentality of us versus them, your brain is more likely to experience extreme emotions, and this triggers the release of stress hormones within our brains. This leads to increased inflammation throughout the body and can have serious health consequences, as well as affecting your happiness, your mental capabilities, and your conscientiousness. And statistically, people that follow politics generally tend to be unhappier than those who don't. Of course, correlation does not equal causation, but it is an interesting point of fact. And this leads to the anti-vax people, people who think that COVID is a hoax, and etc. And also, just speaking literally, I don't think anyone wants to be present in an era where everybody hates each other because people have different values. In fact, when I bring up mental capabilities and strong emotions, that's actually exactly what leads to violence. And rather than trying to argue whether the violence is justified or bad or whatnot, it's better to speak objectively. Violence is bad for the economy. Violence damages small businesses, violence damages structures, and violence lastly damages people. And when people are damaged, you put them out of work. People are people. and people will never fully see eye to eye on all issues. And it is hard when so many people are buying into misinformation that believe that if you are vaccinated and are exposed to 5G, that your head will explode, that the earth is flat. It's really hard. And it is important to be educated and think critically on where you get your information. And that is something that should be promoted within our society. And an important reminder, although life right now may seem a bit pessimistic, I believe that most of us have good intentions. I could be wrong, so even if you don't see eye to eye on every issue, you can still ask them. Hey man, I know we don't see eye to eye on every issue, but let me ask, we can both, go and commit some war crimes together, right?
Yeah, of course.
I was kidding.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
mean-
I was too.
Oh, I see. Right. Also, show some affection for the people you treasure. It may actually be helpful during a divided time like this. Thanks for watching.